So I was dealing with a lot of things. I was trying to plan a wedding down south, which I had never done. I had no idea how to start even planning that. I had shot for a wedding dress. I basically was planning a wedding while being a full-time student in school, while trying to find a place for us to live and getting like all of, you know, going and seeing places and talking to a realtor about like going to the bank and getting all these things, getting like things from my employer saying that she does work here. So I was working on all of that. And then I was a full-time student as well. So I was going through a lot. Oh, and I was also pregnant and like having all this morning sickness and stuff like that. So hi everybody, and welcome back to MJ and B. If you are new here, welcome to our channel. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video is going to be another story time on being pregnant in university. So a lot of people are shocked to find out that I was actually pregnant in university. And when I tell people that I was pregnant in university, they're kind of like, oh my god, how was that experience? And they have lots of questions about it. So this video is going to be telling my story, why I chose to get pregnant in university, and kind of how it was, my experience, and all of that. So stay tuned. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also make sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to see more videos like this, and also turn on that notification bell so you never miss a video. I love doing story time videos for you guys because I feel like I'm actually like sitting here talking to you guys as if you guys were my camera, and I feel like I'm just like getting that closer connection to you guys. So I hope you guys like these videos as well. Okay, so for those who do not know, I did get pregnant when I was in, I believe, my last semester of fourth year of university. So it was my last year, and I actually got pregnant on like the Christmas break, around like that time period. So when I went back to school, I don't think I knew that I was, no I did, because I went back in like January something, and Christmas break was December, like mid-December-ish, mid-December to like January something. So it was basically like a month off. So I did know by the time I went back to school, because I did find out that I was pregnant around 2 to 3 weeks, so very early on in my pregnancy. Also, for those of you who do not know, I did have extreme morning sickness, so that was really fun. A lot of my classes were later on in the day. Like I didn't schedule a lot of classes at like 9 a.m. if I had the chance to, or like the option to, but I did have a prerequisite course that I needed to take that was offered at 9 a.m. every Wednesday for 3 hours, and it was a very, very boring class, but it was boring, but it was really hard. Like it was one of the hardest courses, if not the hardest course that I ever took in university. And like there I was every morning being like super nauseous and like wanting to throw up, and I didn't want people to know yet because I wasn't 12 weeks, and so I didn't want to tell everybody in case something happened. I literally just had to pretend that everything was okay. I did miss a lot of those classes though, because there was mornings where I would get up with like the intention to go to school, and then I would, like, I remember one morning I was eating a granola bar and I just like, I threw it all up, and I was like, yeah, there's no way that I'm going to school. And it was also like January time period, so it was really cold, there was ice everywhere, snow everywhere, and I was like, yeah, that's the last thing that I want to do. And not to mention, like, I had to park in a parking spot that was like on the other side of campus, so I had to walk at least 15 minutes in the cold to get to my class. And when you have morning sickness and you're throwing up all the time, that's honestly the last thing that you want to do. So I skipped a couple classes, and in university, like, your teachers don't really like, I mean, in fourth year a lot of the classes are smaller, so my teachers did notice that I was missing, but I mean, they don't like get mad at you for missing classes or whatever. They kind of just like think that you aren't really that good of a student. So that was also something that I didn't want, you know. I didn't want people, like, the teachers to think that I wasn't caring about the course or anything like that. But I ended up telling a lot of my teachers that I was pregnant, just because it all got to be too much. And I'll explain a little bit like later on in the video why it got to be too much. There was one assignment though. It was an essay that I was supposed to submit at like 11:59 on, let's just say, a Tuesday, And I didn't. And then my professor messaged me and was like, hey, I never got your assignment. Is everything okay? And I was like, oh my God, I totally forgot. And it's not that I didn't do the assignment. Like, it was all done. It was all ready, all edited. My, like, works cited page was all done. But I just completely forgot to like, submit it. So I was just like, hey, you know what? This teacher needs to know. I have skipped a lot of her classes. She probably thinks that I just don't care about her course. So I messaged her and I was like, look, this is what's going on in my life. And this is why I've kind of been like a little bit absent lately, and this is why I forgot to submit the assignment. And she was like, okay, like, I understand. I won't give you like a late mark, which was very nice of her. Basically, it was a huge mess, and that's not the type of student that I was. I've always been a straight A student. I've always, I've never asked for an extension on an assignment. I've always, tried to suck up to teachers and tried to be nice to them and whatever. Grades like were a huge thing in my life, and like growing up they were a huge thing. So basically it was a huge mess, and I felt so out of control of like all of my schoolwork and going to class and doing my readings and stuff like that, which is like it's like understandable based on like what I was going through. But still, I don't know, I didn't like the feeling of feeling left behind in school, but whatever. I mean, life goes on. I still have nightmares that like there's a course that I'm enrolled in and I haven't gone to a single course or single class, and then I have to like write an exam on this course that I haven't gone to. I still have nightmares about that. Okay, so basically why it got to be too much was I didn't get pregnant in like the traditional way where like, you are already married, you're living in your own house, everything's already done. I got pregnant while I was still dating my now fiance, and we still lived with our parents. And so I didn't really, we planned it out, but at the same time, we didn't, if that makes any sense. So when I found out that I was pregnant, I literally went into like fight or flight mode, and I was like, okay, we need to plan our wedding, we need to find a place to live, all of this stuff. So I was dealing with a lot of things. I was trying to plan a wedding down south, which I had never done. I had no idea how to start even planning that. I had shot for a wedding dress. I basically was planning a wedding while being a full-time student in school, while trying to find a place for us to live, and getting like all of, going and seeing places, and talking to a realtor about like going to the bank and getting all these things, getting like things from my employer saying that she does work here. So I was working on all of that. And then I was a full-time student as well. So I was going through a lot. Oh, and I was also pregnant and like having all this morning sickness and stuff like that. So a lot was going on in my life, and it was a very stressful time in my life. I don't regret it though. I kind of always like putting way too much on my plate. It's kind of bad. Maybe shouldn't have done that when I was early on in my pregnancy. But whatever, what's done is done. So basically the point of the story is that I was no longer, before that, school was my only focus. After that, I was like, okay, now I need to look at being pregnant and finding places to live and planning weddings and all that stuff. So it fell to like the last thing that I had to be worried about. And I just remember saying to myself, as long as I pass and as long as I graduate with that piece of paper, like, I'm okay. And honestly, it doesn't matter because I'm not using my degree for something, and I don't think I ever will use my degree for something to the point of like some companies that you're applying to will ask for your transcripts. But most jobs out there just ask, do you have a degree? And you say yes, and then that's it. Like, no one asks to see your transcripts. So I remember being like, okay, I'm not doing a master's program. I'm not going into like any sort of job that requires my transcripts. So I was kind of okay if just like getting the paper and like honestly just getting like a 51 at least, or like a 50. There was a funny story though. I had to go write an exam, a syntax exam actually, which was the hardest course I ever took. This was the 9 o'clock class. And I had calculated my grades, and I knew what I was getting at that point, and I knew how much the exam was worth. So I was able to calculate what I needed to get on the exam in order to pass the course. Like, I could have failed the exam, like not even, like I could have gotten like a 0 on the exam and still passed the course. So I was actually kind of like debating going to that exam, especially since that exam was 9 o'clock in the morning the day after we had moved into our place, so I was extremely exhausted. So I was debating even going to that exam, and I was like, okay, no, like I have to go to the exam. I can't just not show up to the exam. So I showed up, and I like flipped up in the exam, and it was one of like the hardest exams. Like I had studied all like the past exams for that course, and they were nothing like the exam that was given to us. He must have like just come out with like a new version of the exam. And I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, can't do that question. Yep, can't do that question. Oh yeah, I don't even know how to begin that question. And so I think I did half of one question, and then I was like, you know what? I feel so sick right now. I'm tired. My back hurts. I was like, okay, whatever. And I literally answered half of one question. I think there were 6 questions to answer. Started half of one, and then I just like handed in my exam probably like 10 minutes after the exam had started. And my professor's like, are you sure you want to hand this in? And I was like, mm-hmm. And then like I quickly ran out of the room before he could like, because I saw him like flipping through the exam trying to see like, is she even do anything? And I was so embarrassed. So I literally just like picked up my bag and just like tried as fast as I can to like get out of the class, because I was quite embarrassed. Anyways, that is basically the story of what it was like to be pregnant in university. If anyone else is going through being pregnant in university, it's hard, and kudos to you, because it's not easy, and there's a lot of sacrifices you got to make, and school definitely does fall to the back burner for sure. So if anyone's out there, respects to you guys. If you guys are actually like trying to do well at school and are actually doing well while still being pregnant and everything, it's hard. Or the parents out there who are like parents to kids and still go to school. Like I know my dad went to school with us. He went to school until he was like 30, so he had 2 kids at home and still was like doing his readings and getting straight A's. So I mean, that's crazy. Good for you, because I wasn't able to do it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions or anything, leave them in the comment section below, and we will see you in our next video. Make sure also, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you guys in our next video. Bye.